end, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love.
Yeah, yeah, we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love. Welcome to A Course of Love.
Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you know that love is who I am. You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love.
Yeah, yeah, we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love on Facebook Live.
We are
Welcome to A Course of Love. I am Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you, mighty companion. We are going to go deep into A Course of Love here on Facebook Live. Let yourself move into your heart and away from your analytical mind so that the heart can free your behind. We are here to take ourselves to another level of love.
You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start.
You and I.
Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love. I'm so glad to be here with you.
We are one.
You and I are totally joined.
Yeah, we are one.
We are one self, united with our Creator. We are one self, united with our Creator. I am you, and you are me. Oh yeah. Welcome, mighty companion. This is Earl Purdy, and we're going to go deep within the course of love. And I want to welcome you, and I want to thank you, those mighty companions that are online with me right now. Kobe and Juan and Janet and Julie, and Mark and Robin and many, many others that are online with me right now. We're going to do the course, the choice for love. Now, one of the things that I want to say at the very beginning is that it's the guidelines for this class is that you don't have to believe the ideas, you don't have to accept the ideas, you don't have to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas will be like hard to believe, and a lot of the ideas will be quite startling. That music was my brother John Christmas. Go to johnchristmas.com and you will be able to get the music that you're hearing from brother John Christmas. And the name of that song was We Are One. So you can download the music for free, and it's based on the truth and the Course in Miracles. It's very important to get that you don't have to believe the ideas, you don't have to accept the ideas, you don't have to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be quite startling. Remember, with the Course of Love, it's not a class for your intellect. It's not a class for your analytical mind. It's not material that's aimed at your intellectual mind or the analytical mind. A Course of Love is aimed squarely at the heart. It's aimed at the heart, learning how to wed the heart with the mind. So the Course of Love is best received when you are open and receptive to allowing yourself to receive it and to hear it. I'll be honest with you. Tonight's chapter 5, The Choice for Love, on page 218 in the Course of Love, page 218 in the Course of Love, chapter 5, The Choice for Love, in the first treatise. This joker is intense. It's not going to be the easy. It may not be the easiest section that we've covered together, because it. Well, you'll see what I'm talking about. So what we want to do when we go into this is just really try to see what the main points are that Yeshua is trying to make, Jesus is trying to make in this Course of Love to us in this channel book. And I'll go through each paragraph and we'll look for what the main point is and see what that is that we need to remember in order to open our heart and allow ourselves to have the joy and the happiness and abundance and the peace that we would really love to have. So it says, the choice for love. It says, why, when a God of love was revealed so long ago, when a God of love was revealed so long ago, and in so many times and in so many forms since then, that they remain forever countless, has the fear of God remained? Why is it that even though we've been hearing that God is love so many times, all down through the ages, why is it that there still is a fear of God? Why is it that there's still a fear of God, which is a fear of love? A fear of God is a fear of love. Well, this is a twofold fear. So what kind of fear is it? It's a twofold fear that must be looked at carefully right now with all the power of the art of thought. So there's a twofold fear that we're going to look at this evening with all the power of the art of thought. Now, what is one aspect of this fear of God, this fear of love? Well, it says one aspect of this fear has to do with the human experience. The other aspect of the fear has to do with the divine experience. So the fear that we have, the fear of God, the fear of love, the fear of the ultimate happiness, is related to our human experience, and it's also related to our divine experience. The fear of God, the fear of love, it is related to what? Our human experience, and it's also related to our divine experience. Then in chapter 5, paragraph 3, it says, when it was said within a Course of Love that the great paradox of creation is that while creation is perfect, something has gone wrong with creation. That's a paradox. This fear in relation to the human experience is of what it was I spoke, which means the choice of suffering that has been made within the human condition is what I'm going to speak about. So right now we're going to talk about suffering. We're going to talk about suffering. And there's been a lot of suffering the last week, especially in terms of what happened in Las Vegas and what also happened in Puerto Rico. So the choice for suffering has been made, that has been made within the human condition, is what I'm going to talk about right now. Now, while I tell you that suffering is an illusion, you cannot quiet your fear of suffering, nor tear your eyes away from suffering, or remove suffering from the feelings of your heart. Even though higher truth teaches us that suffering is an illusion, that suffering isn't real, we are still afraid of suffering. So even though we've been told other ways to look at suffering, don't you think there's still a part of you that's still afraid of suffering? Well, when I, Jesus, came to reveal the choice of love to you, the choice that each must make to end such suffering. So what is it that ends suffering? What ends suffering is love. So even though we have heard that love is going to be the thing that ends suffering, it says the illusion of suffering has continued, and in the continuation of suffering, made the choice of love seem all but impossible. We go through so much. People go through so much suffering. People go through so much hurt that sometimes it seems like it's impossible to choose for love. Sometimes it can look like you've been hurt so much by something or someone that even though you want to choose for love, there's a part of you that feels like it's impossible to choose for love. If not for all the suffering that you see around you, the choice of love would have been made, if not for all the suffering that you see around you. If it wasn't for all the suffering and unhappiness that we see around us, we would have already chosen for love. So if the choice for love has been made, now check this out. It says, if the choice for love had been made, if we had already made the choice for love, the suffering you see around you wouldn't be anymore. There wouldn't be any suffering if we had already chosen for love. There wouldn't be any suffering in the world if we would choose for love. If the choice for love had already been made, there wouldn't be any suffering in the world. There wouldn't be any suffering in the world if the choice for love had already been made. If we were already choosing love, we wouldn't be hurting. If we were already choosing love, if we were choosing love, we would not be suffering. There would be no suffering. There would be no suffering if the choice for love had already been made. And then it just said before that, because of all the suffering that we see, then it sometimes makes it hard for us to choose for love. But if we would choose for love, there wouldn't be any suffering. But the suffering that we see and the hurt that we see and the pain that we see or experience ourselves makes it especially hard for us to choose love. And it especially is hard to choose love if we could even point to a person that we thought was hurting us or causing us to suffer. So because I'm hurt, it's hard for me to choose love. But if I was to really choose love, I could never be hurt. That's the paradox. That's the paradox. So what does that mean? Well, let's go a little bit deeper in the course of love and see. I love to work with the book. Now, I want to make it clear that my purpose is to bring it to life. My purpose is just to bring A Course of Love to life to such a degree that it's not just words on a page, but you're actually hearing it as if Spirit is having a conversation with us. So the second aspect of the fear that we're going through, what's the second aspect of the fear that we go through? It says the second aspect of this fear is fear of the divine. That, do you know that there is a fear of the divine, that there is a fear of God, that there's a fear of the Creator, and a part of this fear of the divine is related to what? Fear of the human condition. How can you not be fearful of creation when it looks like there's so much suffering going on in creation? How can you not be afraid of creation when it looks like there's so much suffering occurring in creation? But there is another aspect that relates to the fear of union we spent much time discussing within A Course of Love, which means it is a fear of the human mind that cannot comprehend the all or the nothingness, which is the eternal or the void. What does that mean? It means while your thought system here has been described often as insanity, we constantly hear that the way that humans think is insane, that the way that beings who believe they are different and separate from each other, their thought system is frankly insane. He says, while the way that we think has been described as insane, this is the insanity you would fear that may actually grow stronger as you get closer to the truth. There is a fear. What does that mean? It means there is a fear that if you go even deeper into this new way of thinking, that the sense of being insane may grow even stronger. You already seem strange enough. You already seem out there enough. There's a part of you that already feels like you might be insane, even moving in the metaphysical, spiritual direction of listening to channel material and the level of truth that we are receiving right now. So there's a part of us is telling us that is afraid that if we go even more toward the truth, that the insanity may grow. Well, that's the part of you that believes that this communication that you're receiving is insane. There's a part of you that believes that this new thought, this new way of thinking, these spiritual thoughts, these metaphysical thoughts, all this stuff that we're studying and looking at that is counterculture and totally different from what we've been taught. We were just told that there is a part of our mind that believes that this communication that we're receiving right now is insane. And there's also, it says, a part of our mind that believes that the idea of performing miracles is insane. And there's a part of our mind, we're being told in this material, that both welcomes visions and psychic awareness, and then there's a part of us that fears the visions and the new ways of seeing things. And there's a part of us that is afraid of allowing ourselves to have abilities that seem far beyond our capabilities. In other words, there's a part of us that is hard, that doesn't want to believe that we have powers and abilities far beyond what we are aware of, that we do have psychic abilities, that we do have psychic abilities, that we do have telepathy, that we do have the ability to heal and to do things that we see as being way beyond our capabilities. It's telling us that there's a part of us that's afraid of our unknown abilities that are tremendous. So this fear of all and nothingness, that is what we're being told in the Course of Love is the fear of God, which is the same as saying you have a fear of life, which is the same as saying you have a fear of creation, which is the same as saying you have a fear of self. But remember this. What is it that you need to remember? There is either everything or nothing. We have either all or nothing. So take a minute. Try not to analyze, 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 try not to analyze. Don't forget, the first part of analyze is anal. The second part is lies. Anal, lies. Anal, lies. Try not to analyze. Just try to hear what we've been told so far, which is basically that there's a part of us that's afraid of our truly divine abilities, that there's a part of us, it says, that's afraid of God. There's a part of us that would like to love, but we don't love because we think we've been hurt, or we don't love because we think there's so much suffering. There's a part of us that's been told that love is the answer, but at the same time, there's a part of us that's afraid of what we think love is. So a part of you is aware of this, and it says there's a part of you that's as fearful of the all of everything as there is a part of you that is afraid of the void of nothing. What does that mean? Well, it means you feel as if you are headed towards something from somewhere, but neither here nor there feel completely real to you. And I can see your comments, and I'm acknowledging you, and I'm feeling you, and I'm seeing you. And don't forget to comment and communicate with each other. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the video, which is real easy. You just share it right next to where you can make comments. So I'm totally aware of you. I feel you. I'm with you. And we're here in real time so you can communicate with each other and communicate with me. So you may have gone so far, and if for any reason the video stops and is interrupted, just hold where you are and just wait, and usually it automatically reconnects itself. So just hang in there. Okay, so if you've been doing this work and you have begun to let go of some of your old beliefs that you learned from the world, but you're also trying to get these new spiritual metaphysical beliefs, you may feel like this world for you is no longer as real as it used to be, but also the world of love and peace that we're talking about also doesn't seem very real to you. So you may be in that kind of disoriented, confused state. There's another group of people, and what other group of people are these? It says, the lucky among you have made of this in-between place an adventure, which means you are happy in your seeking. Some of you are in this in-between place of neither reality, the reality here that you're used to being in, nor the new reality that you want to go to seems real, but you're looking at it as an adventure. You're happy about it. You're turned on about it. You don't care to end even this state that you're in right now, and there's a lot to be learned when you're in this in-between state of disorientation and confusion, because confusion is a very high state. Confusion means that you have let go of one way of thinking, but you haven't completely embraced the new way of thinking yet completely. You have not completely let go of your old way of thinking based on separation, fear, and projection, but at the same time, you have not clearly and totally accepted the new way of thinking that's based on your power and love and assuming responsibility, and that you are not a victim of anything, that you are an unlimited spiritual being, that love is the choice to be made. So the whole of life could in fact be seen as the illusion of an in-between you have created between all and nothing. What does that mean? That you may be in an independent place that you call your comfort zone. And although you feel compelled to push against the edges of your comfort zone, this pushing against the edges of your comfort zone simply seems to leave these edges quite intact and causes these edges to be capable of offering you resistance. Some of you are right on the edge right now. Some of you, through studying what you're studying and focusing on what you're focusing on, you feel like right now you're on your edge. Right now, you're right on the edge of your comfort zone. And when you're right on the edge of your comfort zone, that's one of the best places you could possibly be for your spiritual growth. And so right now you might be searching for something in this in-between state. And what did we say the in-between state was? The in-between state is when this world doesn't seem as real to you as it used to, and at the same time you haven't moved completely into the next world of perception that we're being promised. So your search for something within the in-between, if it doesn't lead you beyond the in-between, and if it leads not beyond the in-between, if this search for something that you're looking for, it shields you from the recognition of all you are capable of finding and the nothing in which you reside. So what does that mean? When you read through these things, when you hear these things and it comes up in your mind, well, what does that mean? Know that when you ask those questions, that which gave us the material, that voice anticipates the questions that you're going to have. So if you continue to go forward instead of going back because you're trying to analyze and understand it, then you will be given another way of looking at it, and you'll be given another perception. So in order to experience the truth, what must you do? In order to experience the truth, what must you do? Raj, in order to experience the truth, what must you do? Earl, in order to experience the truth, what do you need to do? What do you need to do in order to experience the truth? Mighty companion, what do you need to do in order to experience the truth? You've got to move into a new state. You have to move into a state that is real. You have to move into a real state. Nothing is as real as everything, and is what some of you will or have experienced as the dark night of the soul. Sometimes when you're going through the awakening process, you go through the dark night of the soul when all of your unconscious fears and guilts and insecurities and the attachment of the old way of thinking, you've got to move through that and let it go. And sometimes that seems like the dark night of the soul. To realize that you reside in nothingness is but the counterpart of realizing that there is an everything to which you belong. What does that mean? It means, I tell you, that it is only your body. It's only your body and the thinking of your ego mind. It's only your body and the thinking of your ego mind that make this in-between state of illusion in which you now exist seems real. What's making everything that you're going through right now seem real is thinking that you are just a body, and the mind that you learn from the world that teaches you that everything is based on separation, and that in some way or another you are a victim of your experience. So what is it? What is it that's making all of this seem real? It's thinking that you're a body and still believing a lot of things that you learned in the past, which taught you that you are a limited being as opposed to an unlimited spiritual being. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to make a distinction here, right, between the seemingly real and the aspect of your existence that really is real. So we've got to learn how to recognize the difference between what is real and what seems to be real. So your heart, as we've defined it many times within this course of love, your heart must exist in the thought system that is real to you. Whatever way of thinking that you think is real to you, that's where your heart is located. You are putting your heart into the way of thinking that that you think is real. You're putting your heart into the way of thinking that you think is real. The thought system of the fear-based mind, the thought system of the ego, the thought system of the part of you that feels guilt and anger and separate, the thought system of that part of you is what's been made real to you. The possible fear, the possible danger, the fact that we are born and one day we die, the things that we're looking at on the news and in the world every day, that's what has been made real to many of us. And so our heart is really being held captive. And where is your heart being held captive? Your heart is being held captive in this world that is based on fear, in this world that is based in separation. I know there's a lot of cool things in the world and our perception. I know that this may sound somewhat negative to some of you, but the part of us that has fear, guilt, and separation, that's the part of us that needs to be healed. So it makes sense to me that we would take our time together to focus on the parts of us that need to be healed and released. And that's what we're doing. So that's why it seems like I'm talking a lot about the world of fear, the world of guilt, the world of anxiety, because we're talking about letting go of every part of us that feels those feelings. So just hang in there with me. And so your real self is not present in the realm of the truly real, but your real self is actually present right here, right now, within this illusion. And it's an illusion because it doesn't last. When we say something is an illusion, we're talking about it's something that's not permanent. It's not something that lasts forever. That's the definition of an illusion from the Course of Love, Course of Miracles, Way of Mastery perspective. Is that an illusion is something that doesn't last. An illusion is something that's temporary. An illusion is anything other than love. So this is why, if you're really going to be a true seeker, if you're really going to be a true seeker of love, if you're really going to be a true seeker of truth, then you must turn inside. And by turning inside, I mean you must look inside yourself, your mind, your heart, your consciousness, your own thoughts. Because it's within your heart where your real self lives in your heart. your true self lives in your heart. Earl, your true self lives in your heart. Your true self lives in your heart. And what did the course of love tell us that the heart was? The course of love told us that the heart was the center of our being. So your heart is the center of your being. Okay, so there's nothing else that will free who you are but freedom from the ego's way of thinking. Let's say it again. There is nothing else that will free who you are than you becoming free from the part of the mind that is afraid and thinks it's alone and thinks it's on its own and thinks it is just a human being. You're not going to be free until you are free from thinking that is based on your human nature alone, that's not taking in consideration your divine nature. As long as you see yourself exclusively as a man or a woman or a body that is just a person in the world trying to make it as best you can, hoping that you can form some special relationships to give you some semblance of safety and love, then you will never truly be free. So that's the ego's thought system, the fear thought system that has kept you from this freedom, is the seeming difficulty you experience in learning this course of study. And the reason when you have freed yourself that you will look back, when you freed yourself, you will look back and see how easy this one choice for truth and this one choice for love really was. But there's the ego, the fear-based thinking, the old way of thinking. That's what seems to make what you are studying difficult. What's making what you study difficult, if it's difficult to you, is your ego-based thinking, the thinking that's based on what you learned in the past. That part of you that has been in charge, that's been taught through the world, that's used to being in control, that part of you, that fearful part, that doubting part, that part that thinks it's on its own by itself, that part that thinks it can be a victim of others, that part that suffers, is used to being in control. So that part of you is what makes your spiritual study and the transformation that you're trying to bring about in yourself seem hard. Seem hard. The body, and thus the you that you think you are, would not experience anything without the presence of the heart. You would not be experiencing anything in your life right now without the presence of your heart. Even your human identity, the identity that you think you are right now, you wouldn't be experiencing or feeling anything right now if it wasn't for your heart. The heart, your heart is the only cause of everything that you are experiencing here. The cause of everything that you are experiencing here. Do you know that the cause of everything that you are experiencing is your heart? It's the result of what you want in your heart. Everything that you are experiencing is coming from your heart. When you release yourself from the fear-based way of thinking, when you release yourself from the way that the world thinks, then the heart is going to become the determiner of what you experience, because you will finally know that it's the heart that causes everything that you experience. When you're released from your old way of thinking, then your heart and what's happening in your heart is going to determine what you experience. So what is it that's going to determine your experience when you get past your fear? What is it that's going to determine your experience when you get past your ego? The thing that's going to determine your experience when you get past the ego, Earl, is what's going on in your heart. Mighty companion, what's going on in your heart? What do you feel in your heart? What do you want in your heart? Not what do you want in your mind, not what do you want in your intellect, but what do you want in your heart? This is what is meant by mind and heart being joined in union. And when your mind and your heart are both united, do you know what happens when your mind and your heart are both united? Then you become what's called wholehearted. It is the real you. It is the center of yourself being joined with the only way of thinking that is real. What is the only way of thinking that is real? What is the only way of thinking that's real? The only way of thinking that's real is the thought system based on the truth, a thought system based on love. That's the only way of thinking that lasts. That's the only way of thinking that's real. That's the only way of thinking that you can depend on. And the only way of thinking that you can depend on is a thought system or a way of thinking based on love and freedom and truth. If you believe in a way of thinking that's not based on the truth, it's going to lead you to illusion. It's going to lead you to fear. So how can you tell when you're thinking something that's not really based on the real truth? How can you tell when you're thinking something that's not based on real truth? The way that you can tell when you're thinking something that is not based on the truth is you will be feeling fear. If you're worrying, if you're concerned, if you're angry, if you're full of grievances, if you're sick, if you see yourself as in lack, that's how you know for sure that you have thinking that is not true, that you have thinking that's not based on the truth. That's your surefire way of knowing that you have thinking that's not based on the truth, is that you feel afraid of something. So whenever you're worried, whenever you're concerned, whenever you're feeling afraid of something, you can safely say, I'm listening to the wrong voice. I'm listening to the wrong voice. I'm listening to the voice that's not telling me the truth. I don't know the complete picture. There's something here that I'm not aware of. How do I know that? Because I feel fear, and fear is an illusion. Take a breath. What's your name? Who are you? What's your name? Why are you here? Where do you turn now? Where do you turn? When you start to fear. When you start to. What's your name? Do you know who you are? Have you ever wondered what your life is for? I say, what's your name? What's your name? Jesus Christ. Oh, what? Jesus Christ superstar. The Christ self in you, the love self within you is the star. So paragraph 11, chapter 5, paragraph 11, chapter 5, paragraph 11. It's good to see all you mighty companions online communicating with each other. CJ, Cheryl, Shirley, Heather, Kelly, Catherine, Claire, Rhonda, Michael, Marlette, Blue Sky, Joan, Danny, Anita, Kim, Lisa, Carla. Good to see all of you and the rest of the mighty companions. There are a lot of awesome mighty companions online right now. So take advantage of this opportunity to communicate with each other and to communicate with me. Now, in paragraph 11, it says, the here that you experience is the experience dictated by your ego. So it's your ego, the fear-based part of you. The course of love is saying that my ego is determining my experience here, and this experience is all that makes you believe you are other than who you are. You are an unlimited being of love, And it's just the beliefs that you have here that's making you experience something other than that. So you have to abolish your fear-based mind. You have to abolish the mind that only believes what the world teaches. The part of the mind that believes you are separate in any way. That's the part of the mind that must be abolished. And that's been stated many, many times, many, many ways, but it has to be brought to completion. You have to, and how do you abolish the fear-based mind? How do you abolish the ego? You abolish the ego by no longer investing in it, by no longer using it as the director of your thinking and the way that you approach your experience. So this is why I have asked you to choose the manner in which you would be once and finally convinced. So that means what? It means you got to choose the manner that you're going to learn. You have to choose the way that you're going to be convinced that you're more than what you were taught you were. You must experience the reality of this new way of thinking. This new way of thinking has to become something more than an intellectual idea, or it's going to remain forever theoretical. It's time to take what you are learning, this new way of thinking based on love and truth. It's time to live it. It's time to live it. It can no longer be theoretical. It's time to live it. That means you must let go of what? You must let go of the foundation of fear on which your old way of thinking was built. So I got to let go of the foundation of fear. That was what my old way of thinking was built on, a foundation of what do I need to be afraid of, what do I need to be afraid of, what do I need to be on the lookout for, how am I separate. So I've got to learn how to let go of that way of thinking in order to experience the new. And this is another thing that I'm inwardly being told to say, that I know it can make you feel like you are very spiritually evolved because it looks like you're getting angry about situations and circumstances that are happening in the world. But all you're really adding is more anger, more separation, and more hatred. I don't care if you think that you're upset about an injustice. If that upset is coming from anger and is coming from fear, then you are no different than the other person that's creating the anger and fear. And that is something that our ego hates to hear, that love is the choice that must be made. So it says in paragraph 13, the art of thought invites the experience of the new thought system by what? How do you invite the experience of the new thought system? It says by being willing to replace the old and the new. So tell yourself, what is it that you need to tell yourself? Tell yourself, I'm willing to replace the old with the new. I'm willing, Holy Spirit, the universe, infinite, all that is, I am willing to replace the old way of thinking with the new way of thinking. I'm willing to replace my old way of thinking with my new way of thinking. I would rather be right. That part of me that would rather be right than happy, I want to replace the part of me that would rather be right than happy. I hope that I'm wrong. If I don't have any kind of peace and joy, if I don't really feel connected, if I don't really feel abundant, I hope I'm wrong about what I'm thinking. If I feel lonely and sad and alone, I hope I'm wrong about what I'm thinking. If I feel hatred and fear, I don't want to be right about what I'm thinking. I am willing to replace the old with the new. Now, while this will at first be learned, you have to learn how to replace the old with the new. As such, have its moments of seeming difficulty. It can seem like it's hard sometimes to replace the old with the new, but it's only going to be learned in the sense of practicing, and what is it that you need to practice? Mindfulness. Now, what does that mean? I have to stay conscious of what I'm thinking. I have to stay conscious of when I'm going to the old, fearful, separate way of thinking. I have to stay conscious of my thoughts. And I have to learn how to not identify with my thoughts. And I have to learn how to not identify with the story that I'm giving myself about things. Because it's the story that I'm giving myself about my thoughts that's really causing my suffering and my pain. So I have to stay conscious of when I'm thinking thoughts that are based on truth and love, and when I've gone back into the old vindictive, fearful, angry, separate way of thinking. So mindfulness and wholeheartedness are just different expressions of having your mind unite with your heart. You are uniting your mind with your heart. That's what's happening right now. So what is it that I have to do in order to have a new experience? I have to remind myself that I'm ready to replace the old with the new, and I have to stay conscious of what I'm thinking. Listen to this. You are not your ego. You are not your ego. You are not your fear. You are not your fear. You are not your anger. You are not your anger. You are not your body. You are not your body. You are not your lack. You are not your lack. You are not your ego. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are not your beliefs. You are not your beliefs. You are not what you think you are. And you're certainly not what you think you are if you think you are a human being only, and you are shutting out your true divine nature. How can you tell if you're shutting out your true divine nature, Earl? How can you tell if you're shutting off your true spiritual nature, mighty companion? You feel fear. You worry. You're full of concern. You feel like you're in danger. You're worried about how you're going to make it. You're feeling grievances and anger about all the things that you see around you in the world. That means you're trapped within the perceptions of your body and the perceptions of your ego, and you've lost sight of your true self, which is beyond your ego, body, mind. So mindfulness and wholeheartedness, that is the union of your mind and your heart. So staying conscious, staying mindful, that's what's going to aid you in remembering God, remembering love, and remembering the truth, and remembering yourself. You're like a person who is having amnesia, and you've lost sight of who you think you are. Let's say you've forgotten who you really are, and you think you are an ego, right? So you're very frustrated, and you feel inferior because you've been trying to fly, and you haven't been able to get off of the ground. So you're doing everything you can to try to fly, but you're not being successful, so you're frustrated. Why? Because you have amnesia. You've forgotten that you're not an eagle. You've forgotten that you are let's say that you've forgotten that you are a human being, and that you walk, and that you run, and that you sit. So whenever you are constantly trying to do things, while you're not aware of your true spiritual identity as love, and when you're not really aware of who you really are, then that's when life becomes a struggle, just like it would be a struggle for a person who thought they were an eagle to fly. So if your life seems to be one struggle after another hardship after another hardship, it means that you have the thought system of the ego, and that you've forgotten who you really are, and that at some level you're not being true to yourself. At some level you're not being true to yourself. And some level you're not really using your true authentic talents and abilities. That's you. Maybe you're trying to be somebody else other than who you really are. So through mindfulness, you will remember who you are through mindfulness. It is in this way that you will enter into miracles. And it's time for you to enter into a time of miracles. You are entitled to miracles. You deserve miracles because of who you are. You deserve miracles because of what you are. You deserve miracles because of who created you. You are entitled to miracles. Miracles are your right. For you to accept miracles and love for yourself is not taking any miracles away from anybody else. The more you accept the miracles that you deserve and the love that you deserve is actually creating more for everyone else. Because what can happen for you, someone is much more likely to believe it can happen for them. So right now, I need to stay mindful. What is it that I need to stay mindful of? I need to stay mindful of not paying any attention to the thoughts that tell me I am separate from God, separate from love. I must not pay any attention to the thoughts that tell me that suffering is ultimately real, because I realize now that suffering is coming from my forgetting who I really am, and suffering is coming from me not choosing for love because I feel justified in my anger about what's happening. So I attack myself and make myself feel bad and hurt because of what's happening in the world. So me not choosing for love is also what's causing my suffering. So unless I start choosing for love, which is choosing for the truth, my suffering is going to continue. But that's only because I'm not being mindful, which means I'm not actually remembering that I am not my thoughts, and that only the thought of love and truth is going to heal. Only the thoughts of truth is going to heal, and the course of love is full of thoughts of truth. So say to yourself, I'm willing to replace my old way of thinking with the new way of thinking. I'm willing to replace my old way of thinking with my new way of thinking. And I have to take it beyond the theoretical. It's time for me to actually live and approach my life as if I truly am spirit, a spirit that has the body. And the body is a means of communicating. The body is a means of joining and extending love. This is chapter 5 in the course of love, the choice for love. So when you enter a time of miracles, which is a time of correct perception, a time of sharing love, a time of really focusing in living the truth, then that's what puts an end to suffering. And an end to suffering is the return to love. So the return to love will end suffering. Your return to the truth and studying the truth and focusing on the truth will end your suffering. There is not any suffering that you are experiencing on any level that cannot be healed by the focus on the truth that we're learning. And the basic truth that we're learning is that we're responsible for how we see things. We choose the feelings that we experience. We are the ones that decide upon the goals that we would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to us at some level, we are asking for it and receiving as we have asked. And everything is for our own best interest. And we have to join our thoughts to our heart. It's time to recognize that I'm going to be wherever my heart is. Whatever you put your heart into, that's what you are going to experience. Okay, so that was chapter 5. And I'm going to do a quick little reinforcement of the key points that was in that section. And I want to take the time to tell you that I appreciate you. I am a full-time teacher, and that is what my function is in the world. And if you would like to make a financial expression of appreciation because you truly see value in what comes through me and you would like to support my teaching ministry, just go to earlpurdy.com. You will be able to do that there. Thank you for your financial expressions of appreciation. I am available. Work with on a one-on-one. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've studied astrology and numerology as a symbol of a way to be communicated by spirit for 40 years. I am willing to work with you using the principles of A Course of Love, A Course in Miracles, in the Way of Mastery. There is nothing that you are going through that there's not another way to look at it that could have it completely unblocked for you. So I am available for what I call clarity sessions. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I'm also available for mentoring and coaching. You do not have to do this alone. Go ahead and make the decision to reach out. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com. It explains it. If you want to know more about A Course of Love, go to acourseoflove.org on the internet. And like I said, John Christmas music is available to you free at johnChristmas.com. So before I finish it up, let's see if what comments that I've heard from you that I want to make sure that I share with everyone. One comment is, I end my suffering by letting go of the ego mind and embracing my return to love. Amen. There's another comment is, Dear Lord, please grant me with correct perception. I want to see things differently. Seeing things differently, that is forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't overlooking what you think someone has done to you. Forgiveness is your willingness to look at things in such a way that you're choosing for love and choosing for peace, so that you can be a conduit for love to come into this world. Because what needs to happen in this world of perception that we're in is that love and peace and beauty and joy needs to come into it. And we are the conduits, the can-do-its for that. But how can I be a conduit for love if I'm full of grievances and anger and attack? Let's see if I see another comment. I'm willing to replace my old way of thinking with the new way of thinking. I'm feeling a lot of fear and anger, Lord, but I would like another way of thinking and feeling. I am not my ego. You are not your ego. You are not your ego. Another comment that was made is, I am so ready to do some major reconstruction. How many of you are ready to do major reconstruction? It's time to tear up that fear and anger-based foundation and lay a new foundation based on a mindful, wholehearted living. That's what I want to build my temple on. Awesome. Awesome, CJ. Claire, instead of responding with fear, I choose to respond with love. Joan, all fear is an illusion. Love heals. Love heals. These are all comments that your mighty companions have made tonight while we're listening to this. Another one is, I know for sure I have thinking that is not the truth. How do I know that I have thinking that's not the truth? Because I feel fear and conflict. If I'm feeling fear and conflict, I'm having thoughts that are not the truth, that are not based on love. Then the comment was, thank you, Spirit, for helping me to remember this. That's right. Make love the way you walk in gratitude. Another comment is, my heart truly wants union and expansion, and what an amazing opportunity that opens in this now moment. That's right. We have an amazing opportunity in this now moment. Having our heart open allows us to receive the magnificence that is all of us. And another one is, the heart tells the truth. You're going to be wherever your heart is. So what is it that you're putting your heart into? You are not a victim. You are a participant. You are a participant. You are not a victim. Are you ready to go to the edge? Another comment is, thank you for aiding me to see how to work with the justice system with a loving expression. My ego wants to be holy and work with the system in a loving way. And a loving way is a way that's free of hatred and free of fighting. And this involves your children and everything in your life being kept safe and loved. Thank you for your inspiration. You are very welcome. So take a breath right now, and I'm going to ask you one more time, what's your name? I will replace the old with the new. I will replace the old with the new. I will replace the old with the new. I will replace the old way of thinking with the new way of thinking. Yes, I will. What's your name? You're the child of love. Have you heard the message hiding inside the word? I choose love. You choose love. I choose love. You choose love. Let's say it. I choose love. 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 We choose love. We choose love. We choose love. We choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. We are love. We are love. What's your name? Do you know who you are? What's your name? Have you ever wondered what your life is for? Have you ever wondered what your life is for? Have you ever wondered what your life is for? What's your name? am love. I am love. You are the Christ. We are the Christ. We are love. You are love. I am love. Listen now. What you are the Christ consciousness. You are the love consciousness. You are the love consciousness. That is who you are. Mighty companions, thank you. I love you. You're awesome. Don't forget, Sunday, 1 o'clock, Mountain Time. I do the Course in Miracles on Facebook Live. Tuesday, 7 p.m., Mountain Time. A Course in Miracle, The Way of Mastery, on Facebook Live. And of course, right here, doing a Course of Love on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. You are blessings in my life. I can't even begin to tell you how thankful I am to have mighty companions that want to wake up and look at things another way and are willing to challenge the old thought system of fear and separation that the world seems to be expressing, which is just an unconscious part of our own mind. You are awesome. You are entitled to miracles. Choose for love.